activists seeking compensation for apartheid crimes eventually met with Justice Minister Ronald Lamula, who told them that the TRC's list of recipients would not be increased. This comes after more than 70 survivors from the Khulumani Support Group, a non-governmental organization dedicated and decided to redress the apartheid crimes. They occupied the Constitutional Court in late April. And joining me to discuss this further is Dr. Marjorie Jobson from the Khulumani Support Group. A very good morning to you, Doctor. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. What do you make of the outcomes from the Justice Minister?
So we have been confronted with that answer from the Ministry of Justice for many, many years. This issue of the resolution of outstanding reparations is never going to disappear. In fact, the movement for reparations is only growing stronger, and we participate with the movement across the world because slavery, colonialism, and apartheid were all declared crimes against humanity that warrant proper reparations. And so we have consistently tried to engage the Ministry of Justice in particular about creative ways of resolving this impasse. And unfortunately, we have not had adequate hearings. The last minister who really engaged the issue was Minister Michael Masuta, and he had some very constructive proposals, and we believe there is no reason why we cannot go back and pick up those proposals that he put on the table for things like community reparations. In fact, he ring-fenced 500 million rand of the reparations fund, called the President's Fund, for community reparations. And while the minister keeps saying that they will not expand the list, that is contrary to all legal practice across the entire world. Everywhere, truth commissions now open an ongoing registration process. And Khulumani was not included in that in the beginning, but we were inundated with the applications and testimonies of thousands of people who played incredibly important roles in the struggle. And there was absolute intransigence on the side of the Department of Justice. So there are many things that we do not believe are cast in stone and that have to be negotiated and have to go back to Parliament. And so we are in the process of a coalition for just reparations because we disappointed the whole world in failing the world in terms of proving that reparations for apartheid was really possible.
Let's talk about the stance, the government's stance on all of this. I mean, it took, it took Minister Lamula 13 days to meet with you. You mentioned former Minister Michael Masuta, who seemed to have more of an appetite for this. Crispin Piri, the spokesperson, came out, apologized, I understand, at the start of May, saying that the letters that were sent to the ministry had not arrived. But as you mentioned, this is not the first time. This has been decades of this battle.
It has truly been almost 3 decades of a battle to make sure that the work that was done by the Truth Commission's Reparations and Rehabilitation Committee is honoured. We took those initial proposals and we gave them to a group of experts that we had to test whether they would meet the criteria and the standards of a proper reparations package. And we submitted that report as soon as the TRC unit that is meant to resolve these issues was established in 2005. Our first point of call was to the new TRC unit. And so there are so many ways to address this issue. The issue is never going to just die because there has been no justice. I mean, I was listening to news reports last night about the military veterans finally getting proper recognition. And in fact, the military veterans' proposals for what they need, they came to Khulumani and we gave them all the proposals for how they could settle their issue of proper remedies for everything they suffer. Many of them are destitute today. So actually, the fact that they adopted those proposals means that there's no reason for them not to adopt them for all the people who meet the criteria, not that we're just closed out arbitrarily by the Department of Justice deciding we're just going to keep a cutoff date and everybody else will just be excluded forever.
Now, I mean, temperatures are dropping at the moment. This is the second sleep out that's happened at the Constitutional Court in a matter of months. The last one was in October last year. Why do you feel like this is the only way to get the attention of the minister?
So we are very concerned as the board of Khulumani. We had elections last month for a new board for Khulumani. We've just come out of a board meeting, and we are very, very concerned. We have said, we've had many requests from people who've seen the people sleeping out on the steps of the Constitution Hill saying, we think this is elder abuse. How can you tolerate it? We have engaged with him. There is a group that comes largely, almost exclusively from the East Rand. And you may know that the East Rand was never included in the Truth Commission because the East Rand Civil War went on until 1999. And the cutoff date for the Truth Commission was the day of the inauguration of President Mandela. And so there are these technical issues that are very possible to solve about who is included. And that is the practice all over the world. I mean, we belong to an international network of victims and survivors called INOVAS. And the reason there is now an international movement is because lawyers and technical people have dominated the terrain for victims and survivors and fail to listen and bring possibilities for solution. We have submitted many, many possibilities for solution to the Department of Justice, and we never get a response. And I'm told that it's because there's no policy capacity within the Department of Justice. So these things are completely able to be solved in a very constructive, collaborative way. The political will has been missing since President Mbeki decided that he was going to prioritize repaying the apartheid debt over paying reparations to the people who actually in the country brought down the apartheid regime. And that's one of the big struggles is exiles, people who were in exile, military veterans in particular, get privileges that have never been afforded to the people in the country who actually faced much greater danger in the country. And so that is another big rift in the understanding of government, which only wants to recognize people who carried a weapon and went into exile. So when I was explaining that is a group that was completely affiliated and part of Khulumani, led by Nomarasha Bonasi, who was a national organizer. And I think they've reached a point of such desperation that they are taking these actions independent of Khulumani's governance structures. I believe that they have gone home. I hope they have gone home. I went to visit them last weekend. They are being whipped up into a frenzy. When you create a mob that is of one mind, it is very difficult to hold any negotiations. But the issue is government has never come to the table to work with us on solutions.
Dr. Marjorie Jobson, thank you so much for your time this morning. That is Dr. Marjorie Jobson from the Khulumani Support Group.